Ladies and gentlemen, Rahul Gandhi's absurdities are best ignored, but when he goes on foreign soil and spills a presentation full of falsehoods, when he refuses to call Pulwama a jihadi terrorist attack, when he tries to use the lexicon of the Western media, refuses to call terrorists in Kashmir terrorists, when he said these are just militants who essentially appreciate non-violence, then ladies and gentlemen, this is a whitewashing of terrorism. This is a whitewashing of matters of national security. It has become extremely serious. Why he constantly also says that India is not a nation, was never a nation, is just a union of states. Though the bigger issue really is why he will not call out jihadi terrorism for what it is. Viewers, he also said that Pulwama was just a car bomb. He refused to say that it was a terrorist attack on our soldiers. He said the soldiers just died in a car bomb. Viewers, this play of words, this white man appeasement is the betrayal of the Indian nation. Let's debate.
He was playing on his phone when the bodies of our martyrs were brought in. Today, he calls their sacrifice a result of a car bomb.
So we are going through all the states, and Kashmir is a state which is insurgency prone, right? There's a lot of violence. There's been quite a lot of violence for many years. In fact, that picture there is me putting flowers on the spot where almost 40 soldiers were killed by a car bomb some years back.
A militant is defined as an aggressively active or combative individual in support of a cause. But this is how Rahul uses the word.
And he says, Mr. Gandhi, you've come here to listen to us. So I'm like, yes. And then he says, you see those guys over there? And I'm like, yes, who? He's like, those boys over there. He's like, the militants. Now, militants should normally kill me. In that environment, militants should kill me. And he says, they're there. And they're looking at you.
In fact, Rahul Gandhi in his address at Cambridge completely compromised national security.
Going through all the states, and Kashmir is a state which is insurgency prone, right? There's a lot of violence. There's been quite a lot of violence for many years. In fact, that picture there is me putting flowers on the spot where almost 40 soldiers were killed by a car bomb some years back. So we arrive in Kashmir, and Kashmir is this so-called violent place. And as I'm entering Kashmir, the security guys come to me and say, listen, we need to talk to you. So what do you need to say? And they say, well, look, the thing is, you can't walk in Kashmir. I'm like, why can't I walk in Kashmir? And they're like, well, because you'll get hand grenades thrown on you.
He implied that those who listen aren't targeted.
Because I had come into that environment listening. And I had come into that environment completely with no violence in me at all. And the vast number of people there were seeing that. Right? So that to me was an indicator of the power of listening and non-violence.
He deployed his aide to call this attack by the Jaish-e-Mohammed homegrown terror in the past.
To who provided the kilograms of RDX, the Mi-4 carbines and rocket launchers to the homegrown so-called terrorists. Homegrown so-called terrorists.
Rahul Gandhi, however, did use the word terrorism after the 26/11 attacks.
It is very difficult to stop every single terrorist attack. Terrorism is something that is impossible to stop all the time.
He ran down the integrity of India once again.
India is not described as a nation. In our constitution, the line is, India, that is Bharat, is a union of states. In the constitution, India is described as a union of states. And that union requires a negotiation, requires a conversation. So it's slightly different than other countries. you can think about it much more at the scale of Europe.
Politically, the BJP is taking him on.
आज देश राहुल गांधी के सही चेहरे को देखे कि भारत में कभी भारत की संस्थाओं का अपमान, विदेश में जाके भारत की जनता का अपमान और चीन का गुणगान सद्भावना के प्रतीक और पाकिस्तानी आतंकवाद पर चुप्पी, ये है राहुल गांधी की सही तस्वीर.
But the issue is not political.
When he says almost 40 people died, that means you even till date don't know how many people died. This is not my statement, that is some idiot speaking, that he doesn't know how many. I'm deliberately calling it idiot because if you are so unaware about your country, you are an idiot.
It's about the betrayal of the nation. Let's debate.